For months it was a rumour. A clause that was believed to exist. Language designed to give everyone plausible deniability. Then, yesterday, Raymond Vermeulen, Max Verstappen's manager, and the man who negotiates every line of his contracts, said it out loud. Of course, there are release clauses. There always have been. He confirmed the clause exists. He confirmed a decision could come before the summer break. And this morning, Verstappen's private jet touched down in England, heading for Red Bull's Milton Keynes factory. Whatever happens in the next few weeks is going to reshape the entire Formula One grid. Here's what we actually know. Verstappen is currently 7th in the championship, 101 points behind Antonelli, with 4 races until the summer break. The clause in his contract activates if he is outside the top 2 when the season pauses. He is currently outside the top 2 by a distance that cannot be recovered. Red Bull privately accepts this. The question has moved from whether the clause triggers to what Verstappen does when it does. And that question affects every team on the grid. Let's be precise, because this story is full of vague language that makes things sound more uncertain than they are. Verstappen's contract runs until the end of 2028, but it contains a performance-based exit option for 2027. That clause can be activated if Verstappen is outside the top 2 in the Drivers' Championship at the summer break. He is currently 7th. Antonelli leads the championship with 156 points. Verstappen has 55. Even if he wins every remaining race before the break, the gap is not closable. Once the clause activates, Verstappen has until October to decide whether to use it. That's the detail most people have missed. This isn't a binary choice at one moment in time. The window runs from the summer break to October, meaning the story doesn't end in Hungary. Red Bull's anxiety stretches across half a season, which is exactly why, according to Sport Bild, the team is now trying to buy the clause out entirely, paying a sum in the low double-digit millions to remove the exit option from the contract altogether. The logic is simple. Red Bull would rather pay Verstappen to waive the clause than spend months in uncertainty while he weighs his options. But Vermeulen's public comments suggest the offer hasn't been accepted yet, and Verstappen hasn't told Red Bull privately that he's staying. Vermeulen's quotes are worth reading carefully because they were clearly chosen with precision. He confirmed the clause, he confirmed the timeline, and then he gave 2 statements that appear to point in opposite directions, and that tension is the whole story. On loyalty, we have a contract until 2028. We've always been loyal and we will remain so. On condition, we want to continue down the path with Red Bull and see Max finish his career here, but of course with the possibility of winning. On timing, we want the decision made soon, so everyone knows where they stand. It could be made before the summer break. Read those 3 statements together and the picture is clear. Verstappen wants to stay at Red Bull. He has genuine loyalty to the team that gave him his career. But loyalty has a condition attached to it, the possibility of winning. And right now, Red Bull is the 4th fastest team on the grid by Verstappen's own public assessment. The upgrade package Laurent Mekies has promised for Austria might help. But it won't close a gap that has been building since the first race of the season. Verstappen is not going to commit to a team he doesn't believe can win, and he hasn't committed yet. If the clause activates and Verstappen decides to use it, every team on the grid becomes relevant. But the realistic options are 2. Mercedes is the obvious destination, the fastest car on the grid, a team principal who has publicly said you can't look past someone like Max, and who last year told Vermeulen he'd only need to pay 10% of Verstappen's going rate if Mercedes had the best car. Wolff has since reportedly made an offer behind the scenes. The catch is that Mercedes publicly says its priority is to keep Antonelli and Russell. One of them, almost certainly Russell, would have to go, and Verstappen is believed to have turned down what sources describe as a below-market offer from Mercedes, suggesting the salary gap between what Wolff wants to pay and what Verstappen expects to earn is not yet closed. McLaren is the other name in circulation. Oscar Piastri's position at the team is reportedly being watched with interest by people in the paddock who think a Verstappen move could open a vacancy. If Verstappen goes to McLaren, the ripple effects go through 3 driver markets simultaneously. And then there is the option nobody wants to take seriously: retirement. Earlier this season, Verstappen said publicly that he didn't find the new 2026 cars fun to drive and threatened to walk away from the sport entirely. The FIA has since signalled it will walk back some of the regulation changes for 2027, which appears to have cooled that threat. But it hasn't disappeared. Vermeulen's language, with the possibility of winning, has a hard edge to it. Verstappen at 28 is not going to stay in Formula One to drive a car to fourth place every Sunday. Here is what we know as of today. The clause is confirmed. The timeline is weeks, not months. Red Bull privately accepts Verstappen will be outside the top two at the break and is trying to buy the clause out. Verstappen flew into Milton, Keynes this morning and has not said publicly or privately that he's staying. The decision could come before Austria. And whatever that decision is, stay with a buyout, activate and move, or activate and retire, it changes the shape of the 2027 grid entirely. Vermeulen's final line was the one with real teeth. Max wants to end his career here, but with the possibility of winning. Red Bull has 4 races to give him a reason to believe that's still possible. If Austria doesn't deliver, that sentence becomes a goodbye. So the question is, where do you think Verstappen ends up? Red Bull with a new deal, Mercedes in 2027, or does he walk away entirely? Tell us in the comments and subscribe. This story is moving fast, and we'll have the next update as soon as it breaks.